Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Simplified. The project under the spotlight for this video is called Zilliqa, and thank you very much for the suggestion. This is a project that has really caught my eye. I've been researching it for a while and just watching its price because it came to my attention when Ian Bellina did review this before its ICO. However, it's now released, it's publicly available on exchanges, and I think it's a great time to actually bring this to your attention. However, before I get into this video, thank you all so much for the likes, the shares, and for all the new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. I do hope you enjoy my content, and please give me any suggestions that you have so that I can improve my content and make it perfect for you guys. So let's get right into this project then. What is it all about? So it is developed in Singapore by a group of PhDs, and they have taken the Cardano approach by completely peer reviewing everything that they want to implement into their project. The programming language for their smart contracts is called Scilla, and I shall talk about that a little bit later in this video. But their USP for this project is a low power consumption, high transaction throughput blockchain. So I shall get into all of this later on in the video, so do not worry. Any technical concepts I will explain and also attach further reading in my description so that you can actually understand how this stuff works on a much deeper level. Since I've already spoken about a bunch of PhDs working on this project, I only think it's fair to dive straight into that first because this team is absolutely spectacular. A research-based team is ideal because this is still very new technology. The whole idea of a blockchain-based economy is still just an idea. Cryptocurrencies and their blockchain applications are a brand new sector in the technology field, and it still requires a lot of research to iron out the kinks. So I'm very glad that we have a team whose entire management suite are PhDs who have based their lives on research. So I cannot ask for much more in terms of risk reduction. The same can actually be said about their advisors. They are a very solid bunch. We have representation from venture capital firms, we have computer science PhDs, as well as cryptography PhDs. So we do have a very solid core team, as well as a very respectable group of advisors who are there to make sure that these guys are on the right direction and also have access to funding whenever they need it. We all know that the team behind the company is one of the major reasons for its success, and we do have a fantastically solid team as well as advisors who can really contribute in the short, mid, and long term of this company. So very solid foundations over here. However, it's the USP of this company that really gets people going and salivating. So let's talk about that then. This project is all about really high transaction throughput, and currently they can get about 2,500 transactions per second, and that's with 3,600 nodes on their platform. In order to understand how this system actually achieves what it does, you can read some of the papers, but a simple overview is that if you want to be a node on the network, it requires proof of work to prove your trustworthiness and then get you onto the network. Proof of work doesn't actually happen all the time, just every 100 or so blocks, just to prove that nodes are still trustworthy. The consensus, i.e. actually verifying transactions on this network, happens through practical Byzantine fault tolerance, PBFT, which is also what NEO uses. This is a low power consumption way of ensuring that your system is secure. Back to the transactions per second. How do they actually manage to do this? So what they all talk about is called sharding, and it's not a new idea. This is not a new idea. Ethereum is planning on implementing this later this year into their platform to increase their transaction capacity. And the great thing about the way that Zilliqa uses sharding is that the transaction throughput increases in an almost linear way depending on the amount of nodes on the platform. And they sort of specified that 1 million nodes or just below that is the sweet spot, and after that the transaction throughput won't get any higher, but it won't be slowing down either. So I've spoken about sharding. You still probably don't know what sharding is all about, so let's get right into that. Put simply, sharding splits up transactions and handles them in parallel. And that means that not every node handles every single transaction. The result of this is a much higher throughput than what we are normally used to in blockchain-based services. And the goal is to be a bit like Visa and Mastercard that can handle about 8,000 transactions per second. And this will mean that we can have, finally, a global payments system based on a blockchain. And this has a whole bunch of advantages that come with the blockchain, but also the major drawback of blockchains not being quick enough is now completely eliminated. So in terms of adoption, this could definitely be adopted by larger merchants who require lots and lots of payments per second. I've used a diagram below to illustrate sort of what this is like. Of course, this is not the same thing as peer-to-peer downloading, but it is fairly similar in the sense that certain computers handle a certain amount of the load, but it's the grouping of all the computers together that ensure that things will happen. So more information in the description if you want to read up on the details behind this, but you will probably hear a lot more about sharding over the coming months, especially with Ethereum integrating it into their system. And then next up, another unique part of this project is the language behind it called Scilla. And it is their native smart contract language. So if you want to program on this platform, you need to learn Scilla. And yes, that might sound like a bit of a barrier to entry, but if the company is really serious about this, they will get developers to start learning this. And looking at all the buzz around this project, I'm pretty sure people will start preemptively trying to learn Scilla as well. Yes, it is another language that you need to learn, but this language has its own advantages. One of the major ones is its security. There is an academic paper written by one of the team members, link in the description as well, if you want to go through a whole bunch of technical jargon to understand why this is better, then they have put their point across. One of the major things that people talk about with smart contract languages is whether they are Turing complete or not. Ethereum has a completely Turing complete language, and Solidity is praised for that. Having a non-Turing complete language stops infinite loops in contracts. So basically, if the person never executes the final part of the contract, this contract will run forever. And Scilla prevents this, and that comes with its own advantages and disadvantages. As time goes on, we will see more and more ways in which we can implement this language into the current problems that we have. So far, what we just need is the innovation and the drive to give us the tools. And after that, we can see how effective these tools are and then tailor them towards our needs. Obviously, this team saw a Turing complete language as not beneficial for what they wanted to achieve. So let's see how they implement this in their versions of the solutions to our problems that we have right now. The company is only really as good as its adoption, and partners are vital to adoption. Larger scale partners will help get the project into the hands of a lot of people who might not use it otherwise. The brilliance of good tech is that you just think it's magic. It just works, and a lot of the hard work is done underneath the hood. And these guys want to be the under the hood hard work stuff with a lot of these new partnerships that they have. And one of them is called Bluezell. Often in this space, you hear the phrase, oh, that's a database, it's not a blockchain. So what Bluezell wants to do is create decentralized databases that work on blockchains. So these are not ideas that are completely mutually exclusive. Of course not. The whole point of this innovation is to find a way to make our existing world integrate into a new, more private economy where personal information does not leak out as a result of the use of services. So Bluezell are working on a partnership with Zilliqa, and they do want to have apps that work off each other. So there's also more information on that in the description, so do check this out. I'm just giving you a quick overview on what this project is all about. There's also a massive amount of investment from Neo Global Capital. And at first it doesn't look like it has anything to do with Neo other than the name, but they do have a lot of input in Neo's best projects. The most visible of Neo's projects do have a lot of investment from Neo Global Capital, and they have a very bullish outlook on the future of Zilliqa. In the tech space, you need to follow the money to see where the high-profile venture capitalists are putting their funds. Because obviously, even though venture capital is a bit of a hit and miss sort of game, these guys put in a lot of research into the projects that they back. And if they do see Zilliqa as one of these fantastic projects with a good long-term potential, who are we to argue? And lastly, the Zilliqa founders did present some of their information to the tourism industry of Singapore, which is where they're based. So of course, starting local is the best possible way to actually get your project out there and to test it in the market. They've spoken to the tourism board about using blockchains to help improve their security as well as efficiency and resiliency of their platform. So let's just see how this develops. It's still in the very early stage. The discussions have just begun, so we don't know anything for sure, but we do know that this is a potential avenue where Zilliqa wants to get involved. And speaking of their involvement in the bigger picture, here are some of their key dates and the roadmap. So for those of you in Europe, you might have a chance to hear words straight out of the horse's mouth at these meetups. So if this interests you, do take those dates down, and I do hope that you can provide me some information from these meetups. Do let me know what they're saying. Regarding some community involvement, they do have an infographic contest to help explain the USP and a whole bunch of other features behind Zilliqa. You have a few more days to get your entries in, and there are some great bonuses and prizes from the Zilliqa team if you manage to get one of the approved and chosen infographics. So more information on that in the description. Do check it out. And then big news regarding development of the Zilliqa project. Their testnet will be launched at the end of March. So of course this will be used to iron out any bugs on their platform. So if you do want to get involved with the coding side of this, it's all open source. I should put that GitHub in the description. They do have a very attractive bounty system, so do have a look at that. And then do expect a whole bunch of positive price action as we get towards the end of Q2 and Q3 of this year, because that's when the main net will get launched, as well as the applications through the Bluezell platform, which are the decentralized applications that will be hosted on the Zilliqa mainnet. So hopefully we'll see a lot of positive price action there, but we do know in cryptocurrency that people tend to buy the rumor and sell the news. So in the run-up to these major announcements, do expect something to happen with the price. I'm pretty sure it will not be sideways action at that point, because there is no guarantee of a price increase, but we do know for sure that the market does react in anticipation to news. A company is only pushed for excellence by its competitors, and we do know that Zilliqa has a few really serious competitors. Two major ones being Waves and Ethereum. Ethereum are the big ones over here, and you can expect those transaction per second numbers to drastically change as they implement their new proof of stake protocol, as well as getting Casper completely off the ground. Waves does have a very respectable 1,000 transactions per second throughput, but that does pale in comparison to what Zilliqa can offer. And remember, Zilliqa's transactions per second will go up significantly in a linear way as more nodes join the network. And now that you know a little bit more about what Zilliqa is all about, let's talk about where you can buy some of that. So the largest volume is on Binance and Huobi, but I found the best prices are on KuCoin. And for those of you in India who are not members of those three major Chinese exchanges, we do have an Indian exchange that is accepting Zilliqa deposits right now. You cannot buy it just yet, but it does happen. So BitBNS, new exchange on the block, I have recently signed up for it. I have got my KYC done. I haven't really done any trades on there just yet, but it does look a little promising. It's very new, so do expect bugs, service delays, and server overloads. But it looks promising. They have a different selection of cryptocurrencies to what the other established ones in India already have, so it is definitely worth your time. And now let's just have a look at the numbers. I'm not going to read out every single thing, but it is one of these larger projects on CoinMarketCap. It's in the top 50, and it's just above that $300 million US sweet spot. So I often don't consider projects over 300 million, and I'm hoping for a bit of a pullback before I invest. However, this is a down market and it has been going up in a down market. So things could change once the market tides change too. So be a little wary about that. The prices are a little high right now, so don't rush into investing just yet. But hey, I'm not a financial advisor. You need to do your own research before you do those sort of things. The current price is trading at under 5 cents, and I don't really like giving price predictions, but I would be very happy with 2 or 3x gains on this. But then again, that's just me, and that's what I would be happy with. You really should be doing your own research and set your own targets. Speaking of which, let me share you my entry points. So my entry exit, just not yet. I'm not getting into this just now because I do think that people are very excited about this, and when people forget about projects, that's when I'm quite interested in putting my money in then, because I don't want to be caught up in a hype cycle. Because this is cryptocurrency. When people see a lot of green, they FOMO invest. And currently, while there isn't too much FOMO investing happening in Zilliqa at this time, I still find the price is a little high. Let it find some support or resistance so that I can actually get in there at a nice stable price. I've set my entry point at 400 sats, but I will buy a little bit at a slightly higher fee because there's of course no guarantee of it going down to that price. My buy target is about 40% lower than what the current price is. So of course I'm being very, very ambitious on this. I do think that the price could drop because we still don't have very certain market conditions. So anything can happen. So I'm hoping to luck out a little bit and get that. However, entry exit points are a very personal thing. So you let me know, when do you think would be a right time for you to get involved in Zilliqa? Do you like the price right now, or do you want to wait? Let me know. And on that note, this is the video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Do let me know what you think of Zilliqa, and do send me any suggestions that you might have on projects that I should check out for you. So you folks take care. This is Mark from Crypto Simplified signing off. Have an awesome rest of the day, and I do hope that you get lots and lots of gains when this market does turn. Laters.